Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Thomas McDonnell.
Well, thank you all for joining us this evening. And one of the things that's been terribly impressive, which has been mentioned a couple of times, is the poise and composure of these young people that we've seen here this evening, starting with the performers from Winnetonka and also the kids from North Kansas City that talked about their junior achievement experiences. And that's really what it's all about, is recognizing the contribution that youth makes to all of our endeavors. I had hoped through the video to recognize the DST team. I heard the kids talking tonight about two things in particular: the importance of having a team and the focus on leadership. And DST has had a very strong team since its inception in 1969. Bill Doremus, whose history you saw a little bit of there, was an honoree of this group some years back, as were other key individuals that were associated with Kansas City Southern, like Paul Henson. I'd hope to have a few other references in the video. We have an awful lot of people at DST who've been involved with junior achievement for a long time. Charlie Shellhorn, who was involved and president here and involved on a national level. Phil Kanzler, who's very much involved today, Randy Young, a whole host of DST people have been involved with junior achievement for a very, very long time. Certainly, as Bob mentioned, for all three of us, it's an honor, and it's, I think, inspiring to see people come out and recognize the teamwork that it takes to build an organization. Stepping back from that for a minute, just as a sidelight, and I don't know that I ever had the passion for a mentor that Bob did, but at least somebody told me a few things sometime back, and therefore I would like to tell you that no matter what the honor, no matter what the forum, nothing can eclipse my honeymoon. I also intend to have a longer life expectancy by saying things like that. So. The importance of teamwork is awfully, key to the success of any organization. And that's been expressed. And in listening to the young people up here and seeing their poise and composure, one thing did occur to me, and I didn't have prepared remarks. I very seldom make them because I find whenever you're the second or third speaker in any type of a thing that usually whatever you thought you were going to say, somebody else is going to say first. So I usually kind of like to see what's coming out. But I'd like to go back to the leadership thing, and I think Gail and Bob are certainly great examples of this. A couple of years ago, I was asked to make a commencement speech to the graduate division at Pepperdine. And I guess when I was originally called, I was flattered, so I said yes. And then I got to thinking, well, what do you say at a commencement speech? Theoretically, you're trying to say something relevant, if not inspirational. But on the other hand, you're talking to a class who has been there for a number of years and is pretty anxious to get on with it, so you have to kind of try and put that together. Actually, it reminded me when I graduated from Pennsylvania, and I thought, well, this may be the same type of audience I'm talking about. The graduate school got out 2 weeks before the undergraduate school. And it wasn't a walk up and get your diploma because there were, 6,000 graduates combined between the undergraduate and the graduate division. A lot of the graduate students didn't hang around, but they wanted a full auditorium. So you would go to the student union, and the university had set up a process where you went down and you paid $100, which paid for the rental of a cap and gown, and paid a undergraduate $50 to go sit in your seat. So I got to thinking, well, I'm not even quite sure who I'm going to be talking to out here. But when you think about saying something in an academic thing, I thought, well, what if anything could I put together for this? And I got to thinking about leadership, and certainly the things that Bob said, and you look at people like Bob and Gail. I said, well, I'm going to come up with something academic. So I came up with a formula to build a little bit of a presentation around, and it was R squared plus R equals L. And what I tried to build into that, the R squared, and by the way, this is not a mathematically correct formula. The implication of the squared was that the first R, that really were subdivided into two, and that it was a two-way street, and that was respect and responsibility. That, if you're going to develop any leadership skills, you have to gain the respect of those individuals that you're working with, but you have to respect them. And you have an obligation to be responsible to them. And obviously the people in any organization, that was the two-way street side and the two-dimension to it. But adding the second R, which I thought was reasonably important, was the element of risk. And I think most everyone is a leader at some point in time. And some people lead on a more consistent and ongoing basis, but there's a lot of situational leaders. How many times have you been with a group where something occurs, or it's a crisis or an event, that people step up? Those are the situational leaders. So I think that everybody has those leadership capabilities, but they come out in different aspects of their life. But the element of risk is one that you have to think of, because generally organizations or individuals don't succeed without taking some degree of risk. But if you're in a leadership position or aspire to be, you have to assess your ability to accept risk and assess the ability of those around you to accept risk. Because you can't put too much risk on individuals and expect them to perform. And I think ultimately leaders have to take more of the risk sort of for their own portfolio in order to foster an organization that can operate effectively. So I'd come up with this R squared plus R equals L, and I really do believe when you look at the types of individuals honored here tonight, Bob and Gail, that they're very well respected. They take responsibility seriously, and clearly by starting any business and putting your personal assets and other things on the line, it's that element of risk that you bring all that together, and to me that really gets to the L or leadership. So I thought that might be worth recounting, because I'm not suggesting that it's a description of all leadership characteristics or whatever, but I think when you think about the two-way responsibility, the respect and responsibility, and the element of risk, I think all those have to be considered. And I think when we think about how we develop leaders, how we put in programs like junior achievement and so forth, I think we have to focus on those elements, that you have to have that mutual respect, you have to take responsibility, and at some point somebody has to step up and take the risk. So all I can do tonight is thank you on behalf of really all the team people that have built DST over the years, since 1969. We started very small. We have a very solid organization today, much larger than it used to be, with about 10,000 people worldwide. But in many ways, it's a large team, but it's made up of a whole bunch of very small teams, and all those people come together to make DST what it is. And the accomplishments of DST really can't be summed up in any one individual. Certainly Doremus had a lot to do to get this started. Without him, we wouldn't be here today. But it's really that collective contribution over time that makes DST recognized in this community, I think, as a company that's involved, a company that cares, and a company who all of our associates individually care and are involved. So all I can do at this point is to thank Junior Achievement for this honor. It's great to be included with the other two individuals, and thank you all for coming. And I think it's particularly important that we all support the development of our youth by teaching them those leadership principles, by supporting their interest in, as Bob pointed out, the capitalistic society that we have, because it wouldn't only be ad agencies that weren't here if we didn't have that type of an economy. It would be most everything that we do. So thank you very much.